Okay, thanks for tuning in again. So this is just to wrap up part two. So we've already talked about the ferocity of the Israeli reprisals and the setbacks that this causes for both Jordan and for Syria. Of course, one of the things that also to remember is kind of like against all odds, Israel has survived since 1948, 1949. We've had a look already in class at we just sort of did a health check for Israel. We had a look at its economy, we had a look at its society, and we had a look at some of the political developments that were coming through. The population does grow largely through immigration, but remember, we've got a hugely diverse group of settlers, and also there's that huge social divide between where are the immigrants coming from in terms of the quality of their education, in terms of their ability to contribute to the development of Israel. Certainly, there is an economic recession funding, but one of the areas of growth, of course, is construction, particular as settlements need to be built for immigrants to come in. There's big ideas about shaping an Israeli identity, and that really is worked hard on. So do be sure that you can kind of take the temperature of Israel, have a look at their kind of strengths and weaknesses, the growing population, but of course at the same time, the diversity of that population within Israel, and still, vastly outnumbered in terms of population by its neighbours. We've already talked a little bit in the last video about Syria. By 1966, it's the first of the Baathists to come to power, and it's General Jadid. He will also now begin a tradition in Syria that will continue until this day, in that he's an Alawi. Remember, this smaller sect of believers, and as such will kind of have to work pretty hard to sort of prove his kind of worth in the Arab world. Syria is really now entering a period of prolonged instability, a period of prolonged instability with several coups from 1949 right into the United Arab Republic. The Baathists kind of come through in the early 1960s. The army is the driving force with that, and there's this rise of this Alawi sect. They're only about 12% of the Syrian population, but they will begin to try and displace the ruling class in Syria and shift out some of the kind of urban Arabs perhaps that have dominated Syria up until this point. So they've got a pretty long history of radical change, and themselves as a minority sect within Syria have been at the bottom of the sort of social ladder. So there's lots of things going on here, and definitely Syria will move in the late 1960s to be very strongly anti-Israel and particularly aggressive towards Israeli settlements, and also some other things going on there. So there's quite a lot of things happening with Syria. So that's also worth keeping in the back of your mind as we move into 1967. Key thing though, as I mentioned earlier, was that the water situation, and that idea of a war over water in 1967, a number of historians have also considered. So do look out for some readings related to that. The Soviet Union will now become one of Syria's strongest allies, and this will become very important later on. And of course, it's still affecting our sort of geopolitical situation today between Russia and Syria. But really, the strangest thing, and this is the challenge for us as historians, was this 12th of May 1967 reveal. A number of things have been going on in terms of the Cold War. There's definitely a deterioration in the border relations, as I mentioned earlier, between Israel and Syria, not just the national water it carries itself, but simply just water for local farmers. Yitzhak Rabin, who was at that time the chief of staff for Israel, takes it very clearly with Syria that if the situation continues, then Israel will take action. Then we have this warning from the Soviet Union for reasons unknown, and based on false intelligence, the Soviet Union tells Egypt that Israel were concentrating their forces along the Syrian border with the intention for an attack. Nasser then begins to prepare to send his forces into the Sinai. He's very concerned about what's going on. He asks the UN forces to leave the Egyptian territory, which kind of tips the balance to suggest that something is going on. Remember, Egypt has been tied up in the Yemen civil war since 1962. It's been ongoing for a number of years, and it, is really causing a lot of problems in the Arab world. As I said before, both different sides of the Arab world take on different sides in the Yemen civil war as well. These kind of bellicose sort of statements, this action of Nasser to get the United Nations forces to leave Egyptian territory, is begin to be seen by Israel then as a serious threat. And now I think you can begin to see a kind of a series of decisions, miscalculations, misunderstandings that were made by all of the players. And again, that idea, like, how can you end up with a war that nobody wants? Nasser checks with Soviet intelligence after he's moved his troops into Sinai, and then discovers that Soviet intelligence is wrong. But in a way now, for him, his role in the Arab world and his sort of domestic stature in Egypt, it's kind of just too late. So after such a demonstration of power, he can really not turn back without losing face, and he's really stuck. If he turns back, he can continue to feed fuel to the fire of that Arab Cold War that we've been talking about before, that Jordan and the Jordanians and the Saudi Arabians can now take an opportunity to ridicule Nasser. And so, like, it's just for show that they're there. So, Nasser is now being seen as a bluffer. So it's really kind of against this sort of critique that Nasser kind of, sort of demonstrates a show of force. The United Nations leave on the 17th of May. He flies Egyptian MiGs over some cities in southern Israel. And Israel, of course, by then turns to the USA for air support. There's no response from the Americans, and Israel kind of enters this sort of stage of panic, and that really kind of kicks off. And then on the 22nd of May, Nasser closes the Straits of Tiran to Israeli shipping. And this is, of course, what Israel will now consider to be a cause of war. Jordan and Saudi Arabia have also pressured Egypt to do this, and of course this means war with Israel. Okay, key thing here, Nasser points out in his statement in May 1967, as well as that the USA had committed to support the free navigation of the Straits of Tiran after the 1957 transfer that Israel gave the Sinai back to Egypt. So all of this is really going on. Eshkol, who's the Prime Minister of Israel at the time, has a sort of pretty poor showing in a radio speech he gives, and he kind of sort of conveys panic. And he brings in a national government as a result, with people from the right, Moshe Dayan, who's the chief of staff, and Menachem Begin from the sort of political right wing. And with this new cabinet comes the pressure to strike first. And on the 5th of June 1967, Israel issues an air attack, and Arab air forces, including the Egyptians, are destroyed pretty much on day one. So thank you for tuning in, and hopefully this was helpful to you.